I'm going to wait to see if it's streaming. I'm going to start today with the Italian stuff. And I realized yesterday I thought I was gonna be able to stream another time as I was doing the writing all the things into the spreadsheet. But then I realized that I made a mistake and because I didn't set up the database that I set up for Next.js doesn't work. And I should have looked into this before doing all this code. Luckily, I managed to find a solution here that doesn't have uh, anything related to the database and to the API call. Because if the solution that I found was dependent on the way that the database works, then I would have to redo everything. But pretty much what I thought was gonna happen, and I didn't look into it before, is because the database was saved on a file, I was using SQLite 3, and it wasn't a file, I thought that I was going to be able to get away with deploying to Vercel and then just storing the data there, because it's just like a normal file. And I'm still not sure if that works. I thought about doing the same stuff but with a CSV file instead of a SQLite 3. And I'm not really sure if that works or not. I think it does to some extent because I've seen a tutorial from Fireship, which is a channel that he talks about doing this exact same thing with Google Spreadsheets. And then there are some comments complaining about that he didn't explain that is not the optimal way, but I think for something simple like what I'm trying to do, I'm just trying to set up a database so I can get emails, and I don't think I'm gonna get a bunch of emails right away. It's going to be a slow process for the landing page, or even it's going to be kept at very low amount of emails, so it's not going to be storing too much information. So I think I would be able to get away with that, but then based on the video that he made, I think it's too complicated. I don't want to spend time looking at that. And I think it's better to try to figure out how to use a decent database that is scalable and that I can use in the future with the blog as well. So let me see if I can find spreadsheets database. Yeah, this is the video that I looked, and he explains how to do a Next.js app with a Google Spreadsheet database for free. But then I looked into the Tao's video about Heroku, this one, and he talks about database alternatives. So I wrote down the alternatives he mentions there. I also finished all the stuff. I wrote down, I got all the information from a bunch of different blog posts from 3 different YouTube channels that have had a blog and had a lot of posts. Spent a lot of time doing that, and then I also finished the other thing, these spreadsheets here. I'm not gonna show because I think I might use this as a lead magnet in the future. But pretty much I got 115, I think, or 114 links from all these sites, and I got some product ideas, affiliate marketing ideas based on what these people are doing, and yeah. So this is the file that's the recommendations he makes. I recommend obviously watching the video because he explains why. But I investigated some of these options, and Railway I don't think is, even though it's easy, it seems like it is expensive and they start charging you fast. So I think that the promising alternatives are these 3, but then I looked into Supabase and I didn't like it that much because I also think out of these 3 is probably the worst. So the ones I don't know, they look good, is this CockroachDB and PlanetScale, and I think they both look good. But then I found this video from PlanetScale and I watched this and I decided to try with PlanetScale first, then if it fails, or if I can do it, then I will try Cockroach DB. That's the plan for that I have for today. So hopefully I can finish this today. And yeah, then I set up environment variables on Vercel because I recreated a database already and got the credentials. And then you need to put the environment variables on Vercel as well, which is something that I made a mistake a while ago, where I spent a bunch of time trying to figure out what is wrong, but then I forgot that I had to set up the environment variable on Vercel as well. Otherwise, it wouldn't work. So I did that, and now I think I'm gonna read this article and try to figure out. But I'm probably gonna have to change this code here. And I assume that what I'm gonna do is just do an API call and then press the credentials to do an API call with the credentials to the PlanetScale, and that's gonna allow me to store the stuff on their database. But deployment is annoying as hell from the couple of times that I did it, so there might be a bunch of different problems. And I think I have to install the PlanetScale CLI as well. That is the software they build that allows you to communicate with the site through the command line. There are several different options, but yeah. The CLI seems to be what they recommend, and they use this one. I think I'm gonna do this one first, and then I'll look into how to figure out the SLI stuff. Oh, and then based on the spreadsheet that I did, I read all the stuff that I did. Because that spreadsheet, I put the name of the person or the channel, then I put the link, then the explanation, the flow of the funnel, based on what I thought, the structure. And then after that, I put the affiliate links if they had, or the way that I did is I separated between affiliate link and the thing. So the affiliate links that I got were not part of the blogs or the text because it didn't work on the way that I structured the spreadsheet. But after I put the affiliate link, then I put an explanation of what it is. And then I read all the structures of all the text talking about the structure of the pages, and then I come up with this thing here, which is what I'm going to try to do after I figure out the database, because I'm going to change the text that I have there and add, I think I'm going to get from my portfolio that I did, my picture to put on this who made this spreadsheet, and all of them seem to do this. Not all of them, but the ones that I think looks better. They explain who is doing the course or whatever you're trying to sell, to display authority and credibility. And then whenever they can, they also display testimonials and then also icons or badges of authority. So logos from big companies like Fang. So the first thing is a call to action, and then I'm going to mention that I'm not going to spam everyone because I think that's important. And then I'm going to think about it, which is probably going to be a save time. And maybe I'll do achieve desire to save pain points. That might be better. So learn Python and JavaScript very fast. No, learn Python and JavaScript, save time, save hours of research, get this free spreadsheet for free. Yeah, get this spreadsheet for free. Something like that. And then on the other section, I'm going to explain who I am, put my photo there, and then the YouTube channel is already, the video is already there after that. And then I'm thinking on the FAQ, I'm gonna do a FAQ because since it's a landing page and it's a lead magnet, this is probably an overkill. So, but I just want to structure these things that way so that in the future I can use this stuff whenever if I decide to build a course or do something like that, then I already have the decent starting point.
Deploy to Versal. Introduction. This guide will walk you through setting up and deploying your PlanetScale database on Versal. It will cover two
Let
options.
me put some timer before I start this. Oh, and I have to do the Italian thing, I forgot. Because otherwise I'm not gonna do it if I leave it to the end. I think it's better to leave it to the end, but then I end up not doing it. And I'm gonna put a timer of 1 hour and a half. I'm not sure if I'm gonna spend more time. Probably will spend more time, but I wanna take a break after 1 hour and a half. Probably go eat something. I'm expecting this should be very hard and take a lot of time, and that I might not be able to do it today because of the previous experiences I had with the deployment. There's usually something comes up that makes everything really hard, and then I have to spend hours researching and stuff. Hopefully, I can finish today though, so I can start. I think after I finish this landing page, then I'm gonna go back to doing videos because there's a lot of videos that I have to make before I go back to doing the blog. I think to work on the blog. I think it's better to do a couple of videos so I don't spend a bunch of time posting. I think there's still one more video that I have, which is this video, these object videos that I haven't posted. This video I'm gonna but this is just 2 minutes long, and I'm thinking about posting this after the New Year's, and if I have the landing page by then I can start posting these clips on TikTok as well. But then after I post this video, I don't want to spend a lot of time without posting a new one. So I think it's better to start focusing on these other ones. I want to finish this as fast as I can, these ones here. So these ones I think I'm not gonna do a video on. Yeah, I'm gonna take this curving from here. Yeah, I think this shouldn't be that hard. This also it's gonna take some research so I remember everything, so make sure that I'm not saying anything that is very wrong. Obviously, I'm gonna make mistakes, so I can't really avoid that, especially trying to teach all these different things. But I wanna make sure that I do the best that I can to teach people the correct way. And then the import and export system, I was thinking about making a very deep video and researching a lot because I wanted to study this more in depth again, the Python import system, to understand why relative imports require you to run from the parent of the directory. And I think it has to do with the structure of modules and namespaces and the way that the whole design from the interpreter is programmed. But in order to understand all of this stuff, I would have to go really deep into the source code and then trying to understand how, well, the architecture design, let's say, of the language and the differences between that and JavaScript, and then think about the reasons why they are different. These designs, architecture decisions were made. But that's gonna take a lot of time, and I don't think I don't have this time now. So I think what I'm gonna end up doing is just do the basic stuff, which is to explain what are the keywords that are used to import and export, and what are the differences, and how to do relative imports on both languages. And also, I'm gonna have to talk about this structuring before this, because it's gonna be part of the import system, I think. to explain that you have different ways that you can import things. Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Generator is also, don't think I'm gonna, maybe, yeah, I don't think it's worth creating a video just for that, but maybe in the future I'll do that. Because I want to finish all of these videos so I can start focusing on searching for jobs on block space, on the blockchain space, and also building the blog and things like that. And that's gonna take a lot of work. So I think I'm gonna go back to doing that as soon as I finish the landing page.
Fa,
Fa,
Does.
fisso,
fisso,
Set. Unchanging.
3,
3,
3.
desiderare,
desiderare,
Desire.
aria,
aria,
Air.
bene,
bene,
Well.
anche,
anche,
Also.
giocare,
giocare,
Play.
piccolo,
piccolo,
Small.
fine,
fine,
End.
mettere,
mettere,
Put.
casa,
casa,
Home.
leggere,
leggere,
Read.
mano,
mano,
Hand.
portare,
portare,
Carry.
grande,
grande,
Large.
compitare,
compitare,
Spell. Words.
aggiungere,
aggiungere,
Add.
anche,
anche,
Even. Also.
terra,
terra,
Land.
qui,
qui,
Here.
devo,
devo,
I must.
grande,
grande,
Big.
alto,
alto,
High. Tall.
tale,
tale,
Such.
seguire,
seguire,
Follow.
atto,
atto,
Enact.
perché,
perché,
Why.
chiedere,
chiedere,
Ask.
maschi,
maschi,
Men.
cambiamento,
cambiamento,
A change.
è andato,
è andato,
He. She went.
luce,
luce,
Light.
tipo,
tipo,
Kind. Of thing.
spento,
spento,
Turned off.
bisogno,
bisogno,
Need.
casa,
casa,
House.
immagine,
immagine,
Image.
provare,
provare,
Try.
noi,
noi,
Us.
di nuovo,
di nuovo,
Again.
animale,
animale,
Animal.
punto,
punto,
Point.
madre,
madre,
Mother.
mondo,
mondo,
World.
vicino,
vicino,
Near.
costruire,
costruire,
Build.
se stesso,
se stesso,
Himself.
terra,
terra,
Earth.
padre,
padre,
Father.
It will cover two options. Manually adding PlanetScale environment variables to your Versal project. Connecting your PlanetScale database to your application using the Versal integration. Prerequisites. A PlanetScale database. If you haven't created a database, refer to our PlanetScale Quick Start Guide to get started. A Versal account. A project deployed to Versal. If you're just poking around and don't already have an application to deploy, you can use our Next.js plus PlanetScale sample. Manually connect to Versal. Get your connection string from PlanetScale. In your PlanetScale dashboard, click on the database you want to connect to. Click Connect. Select the framework you are using from the Connect with drop-down. This will give you the exact environment variable names you need for your selected framework. If your framework is not listed, choose General. If the password is blurred, click New Password to generate new credentials. Keep this page open, as you'll need to copy these to Versal momentarily. Copy environment variables to Versal.
Okay, I don't think I got this database URL from the thing though. Let me see if I did. Yeah, I don't think. I saw the credentials, but there was no URL there. So maybe this documentation is outdated. But there is a CLI thing here. Oh, it's just because of the, if you're using the CLI, then there isn't a URL, but the other ones show URL. But there isn't an option for the for Next.js. There's Django, Django General, Go, Java, Laravel, Node.js, Node.js. That's probably the one that. So I'm gonna save this as well in the environment of variables and assume that the stuff that they are not showing there is just the password. And then replace that with the password. Obviously, I'm not showing the string because I'm showing environment variables. So yeah, I'm gonna install. Also have to remove the packages that I'm not using anymore, I think. I'm gonna remove Kinects as well. Maybe archiver. Let me see. File saver. I think I can show the. Yeah, this is the Next.js the package to install and then the code. But I'm not really sure if this is gonna work on the serverless function from Next.js, but I assume that it probably will. And there we go. I'm gonna install this thing here. I'm gonna leave this here for now, and then I'll probably do this on the email after reading the tutorial there. But I think I'm gonna try to use the CLI first. The only thing that I don't understand with the CLI, the PlanetScale CLI is that how it's gonna work with to make the bridge with Versal. Where was I?
Select the framework you are us. A PlanetScale database. If you haven't created a project deployed to Versal, in your PlanetScale dashboard, click on the database you want to connect to. Click Connect. Select the framework you are us. Need help? Get help from the PlanetScale support team, or join our
Oh.
GitHub discussion board to see how others are using PlanetScale. Back in your Versal dashboard, confirm the environment variable, deploy with the PlanetScale Versal integration. If you don't want to copy and paste the environment variables over to Versal, you can use the PlanetScale integration from the Versal marketplace. You can choose which database you want to connect to, and will automatically pull the necessary environment variables into your Versal project. You must have an existing PlanetScale database to use the integration. You can create a database in the PlanetScale dashboard. Click Add Integration on the
Oh,
Versal.
I think I understand. No, actually not. I was gonna say that when you use they don't give you the URL when you're using and maybe that's actually what's happening. They're connecting under the hood when you use the CLI, they're connecting under the hood, and all you need is the credentials, the password and username on the Verso app, and then they do the connection themselves. The code under the hood does the connection when you're using the CLI. But if you're using another framework, then you need to make an API call, and then that's why you have their URL as another environment variable, and then you use that to connect. And then you don't need the password you don't need the username and password for the authentication. You just put the password with the URL, and then that's how they make the connection. And that URL is obviously not going to be visible.
Click Add Integration on the Versal Integrations page. Select the Versal account you want to connect with. On the left, you'll see the Versal options, and on the right, the PlanetScale options. Select the Versal project you want to connect to, and beneath that, select the framework you are using. If the framework isn't listed, select General. This selection is what determines the names of the environment variables. On the right side, choose the
And this is for automating this stuff.
Configure your connection. After you set up the initial connection, you also have the option to configure the PlanetScale connection, add more databases to the project, or remove databases from the project. To access the configuration page, in your Versal project dashboard, click Integrations. Click the PlanetScale integration.
I'm gonna do this because I'm not sure if I can show this stuff. But I'm going on settings and then integrations. And I think that one I can show probably. PlanetScale integrations. This is a tutorial that I found as well. Maybe I'll use this in the future, so I'm not gonna close. But this is for connecting Prisma, I think, with PlanetScale on Versal. Here. Click the configure button. Modifying existing connection, universal, these are environment values. Blah blah blah. The biggest issue I had, I remember with Verso, is that if you deploy with Git, then it's kind of confusing to keep track of the versioning system, because if you make multiple different branches and then you deploy those branches, then because I don't understand the source code under the hood, what is happening between Verso and and GitHub and my application, it's hard to understand how to debug. Because I remember in the past that I deleted some project and then it's still there on my Verso page, but I wanted to remove the connection between the Verso and that project. And I remember it was really confusing to do that. So this is kind of like what I'm concerned about here as I'm doing this, to understand what is going on so that I understand in the future, because in the future I might do updates or create different branches for development. I think I'm gonna do this right away actually. After I make the connection, I'm gonna create a different Git branch in order to do the copy stuff that I was talking about. And then also the other thing that I'm not sure is that what's gonna happen if I want to make pull requests. Let's say that the site is open and then someone puts their email on the database, but my version of the system obviously doesn't have that change, because the database I have, the file I have locally, that's in the way that I was gonna do in the past using the file, the SQLite tree. I was thinking about if I deploy this, then if someone adds the email to the database, how I'm gonna get that email, because it's going to be stored on the file that is deployed to Verso. So I was assuming that if that was the case, then what would happen is that when I try to make pushes from the changes that I made locally, then it would give me an error saying that I have to make pull requests because there are more changes from the project. And those would be the changes that happened with the deployed version of the Verso thing, because someone put it the email and then my local version is not updated. I'm just selecting the download options here for PlanetScale. Already added. It's saying that they're gonna create the environment variables themselves, and they're gonna overwrite the ones that I have already. So I have to change the names that I have there. Obviously I can't show this because it's environment variables, but the names they decide to give is different than the ones that I have here. So I'll make sure I change so it's the same thing on deployment as it is on. Yeah, I'm not really sure. There's another variable here that I don't have on my thing. It's SSL cert path. I assume that's the URL, but I'm gonna see that later. Damn. Can't believe that this is actually this easy. God damn. Yeah, now I have to test, so I don't know if it's working or not. But it's pretty much just click on integrate and then you put you follow a simple thing there and then it's connected. That's crazy. Now hopefully it's working. maybe I should do the changes first. After now, I should start working on the copy and have the page in the way that exactly in the way that I want it to be. Because I don't want to deal with other stuff when it comes to this page, because something that is supposed to be simple and I'm not gonna change in the future is just for the clips on TikTok, and I'm probably not gonna use this page a lot. So I should try to avoid as many mistakes as possible, and then whenever it gets to the point of where I'm gonna build my blog, then I'm probably gonna face the challenges anyway. So it's gonna be better to spend time really trying to understand once it gets to the point of making the blog, and then making the changes to the blog and thinking about the whole workflow with Git and stuff. So if it is working, then that's great. Oh yeah, but I also have to do, it doesn't matter, because I have to figure out how to connect to post, update the database with the emails. So I assume I have to do, I'm gonna look at the environment variables on the Vercel project, because I think that the SSL path that they put there as an environment variable is the way that you access the database and make calls to it. And then all I have to do is put a call on the post request to insert the email in the database. So I'm gonna, oh, and then you can add projects as well. Trying to find the environment variables. Yeah, there isn't any environment variables here. I mean, the environment variables that I have here are the ones that I put before. So I assume that they override under the hoods on the application there and doesn't show here. But then it leaves me with the question of how I'm gonna access that.
Click the PlanetScale integration. Click the Configure button. Note: if you are modifying an existing connection on a Vercel project, these environment variable values will be regenerated and overridden. When removing the Vercel integration, environment variables are removed from all projects tied to the integration. Your application will no longer be able to connect to your PlanetScale database. What's next? Learn more about how PlanetScale allows you to make non-blocking schema changes to your database tables without locking or causing downtime for production databases. Need help? Get help from the PlanetScale support team, or join our GitHub discussion board to see how others are using PlanetScale. Get help from the PlanetScale support team, or join our GitHub discussion board to see how others are using PlanetScale.
I'm gonna read this documentation and then I'm gonna search for videos, because it's gonna be easier to see in practice how to connect. Hopefully I can find videos of people doing this.
Connect any application to PlanetScale. Connect your PlanetScale database to any application using connection strings or the PlanetScale proxy. Introduction. In this tutorial, you'll learn how to connect any application to your PlanetScale database. If you are just getting started and still need to set up a database, we recommend starting with the PlanetScale Quick Start Guide first. We also have language/framework specific guides under Integration Guides if you prefer a more detailed walkthrough. PlanetScale uses database branches to create a development-friendly workflow. Your database is initially created with a default branch, main, which is meant to serve as a development branch before promoting it to production. While developing your application, you'll need to connect to a development branch. Your production application, however, should be connected to your production database branch. Check out our branching guide for more information about the branching workflow. There are two ways to connect your app to PlanetScale. Both are covered below. Option 1, connect with username and password, recommended. This section will show you how to create a username and password for your branch and use those credentials to connect to your database. This is the recommended way to connect. There are two ways to generate a new username and password for your branch. In the PlanetScale dashboard. With the PlanetScale CLI. Generate credentials in the PlanetScale dashboard. Click on the branch you want to connect to. Click Connect. Select the applicable language from the
That's
Connect
the
with
one that I
drop-down or
got
choose General.
here.
If the password isn't visible, click New Password. Copy the credentials. Paste them in your application's MySQL configuration file, often just a .env file. The layout and name of this file will vary depending on the application language, but it may look something like this. Terminal copied database equals username equals host equals password equals SSL equals // more information about this in next step. Check out our
Yeah, this one is the one that I didn't got, but I got this for here. And the name that I put there is different. Maybe I should change that. But it doesn't matter that much because you can obviously, you're gonna decide which name you put, but maybe it's better to put these names here that they are suggesting because, yeah, but I think I'm gonna leave it the way that it is here.
Check out our language integration guides in the side navigation for more explicit instructions. To ensure a secure connection, you must validate the server-side certificate from PlanetScale. This configuration depends on your application, but often it just means adding a line to your .env file similar to this. Terminal copied mysqlattrslca equals / etc /ssl /cert.pem. The path to the certificate depends on your system. The above example shows the path for Mac OS, but you can find others in our secure connections documentation. Again,
And when they have should read all this stuff here as well. So it looks like I don't need to. Because I'm using Windows.
Again, the variable name here, misclatruszelka, is just an example. The actual name and location for it will depend on the application. If you're unsure what to put here, we recommend selecting your application's language from the drop-down in the PlanetScale dashboard, see step 3 above, and copying the credentials from there. This includes the necessary SSL configuration variables and shows what files they belong in. Additionally, we show you the correct certificate path by default based on your system. Generate credentials in the PlanetScale CLI. If you prefer working from the CLI, you can quickly spin up new credentials there. Make sure you have the CLI set up first. Run the following command in the CLI.
I think this one is this. So.
Run the following command in the CLI to create a new username and password for your branch. Terminal copied scale password create. Note: the password name value represents the name of the username and password being generated. You can have multiple credentials for a branch, so this gives you a way to categorize them. To manage your passwords in the dashboard, go to your database overview page, click Settings, and then click Passwords. Take note of the values returned. You won't be able to see this password again. Copied password production password was successfully created. Please save the values below as they will not be shown again. Name username access host URL role password production password xxxxxxxxxxx. Paste the values from the console output into your application's MySQL configuration file. The layout and name of this file will vary depending on the application language, but it may look something like this. Terminal copied database equals username equals host equals password equals SSL. To ensure a secure connection, you must validate the server-side certificate from PlanetScale. This configuration depends on your application, but often it just means adding a line to your .env file similar to this. Terminal copied mysql. The path to the certificate depends on your system. The above example shows the path for Mac OS, but you can find others in our secure connections. If you're unsure what to put here, we recommend selecting your application's language from the drop-down in the PlanetScale dashboard, see step 3 from the previous section, and copying the credentials from there. This includes the necessary SSL configuration variables and shows what files they belong in. Additionally, we show you the correct certificate path by default based on your system. Option 2, connect using the PlanetScale proxy. Another way to connect your application to your PlanetScale database during development is using the PlanetScale proxy. You won't have to fiddle with configuring any credential details, as that's handled by PlanetScale. It's as simple as a single CLI command. You'll use the CLI to establish a secure connection to PlanetScale. It will listen on a local port that your application can connect to. The main benefit of this method is you won't have to generate and remember multiple passwords every time you are creating or switching to a new branch. Make sure you have the CLI set up, and then run the following command. Terminal PlanetScale connect. This establishes a secure connection and opens a port on your local machine that you can use to connect to any MySQL client. Take note of the address it returns to you.
Yeah, but the problem here is how, like, I can connect from my local computer to PlanetScale, but then how is Verso gonna connect? That's what I don't understand here.
Take note of the address it returns to you. By default it is 127.0.0.13306. The CLI will use a different port if 3306 is unavailable. In your application's MySQL configuration file, use the following to connect. Terminal copied database equals host equals 127.0.0.1 port equals 3306 / use the value that was returned in the console. Your application should now be connected to the specified PlanetScale database branch. What's next? Once your application is connected to a development database branch, you can make schema changes in an isolated development environment without worrying about affecting production. Additionally, the PlanetScale workflow allows you to make non-blocking schema changes without locking or causing downtime for production databases. PlanetScale workflow. Here's the general workflow that you'll go through to get schema changes from development to production. Follow this guide to connect to a development branch. Modify your schema as needed. Test them locally or in your staging environment. Once satisfied and ready to deploy your changes to production, create a deploy request. You or your team can review and approve the schema changes. Deploy your deploy request to production. Bonus, if you realize you made a mistake, you can click Revert Changes to undo a schema change. Note, you must already have a production branch in place to create a deploy request. Need help? Get help from the PlanetScale support team, or join our Git.
So let me think. So based on what they are recommending here, I think you have to do locally, you create a schema, which is the structure of the database on your computer after connecting to the database locally. Then you test them. Yeah, but then the question that I have is, how do I connect there? Like, what's the best way to connect the application with the database for the post request? Should I use the URL there from the environment variable to make the call? And isn't it possible that people are gonna be able to hack that? If I do it, that's my concern, because if I do it like this and I don't understand really well, then it might be possible that you can see the URL, or you can get the URL somehow, and then you have access to the database. I don't think this is a link. I'm gonna set up the environments, the CLI first.
PlanetScale environment setup. Use the PlanetScale CLI to create development branches, make non-blocking schema changes, and open deploy requests directly from your terminal. Setup overview. To interact with PlanetScale and manage your databases, you can use the PScale CLI to do the following. Create, delete, and list your databases and branches. Open a secure MySQL shell instance. Manage your deploy requests. And more. Note. PScale can use the MySQL command line client to quickly open an interactive shell for a database branch. Optional instructions for installing the MySQL client can be found for each platform below. macOS instructions. To install the PlanetScale CLI on macOS, we recommend using Homebrew. How to install or verify Homebrew is on your computer. Open Terminal. Check if you have Homebrew installed by running the following command. Terminal copied brev. If you don't see Homebrew in a version number, then download and install Homebrew. Once you've installed Homebrew, Windows instructions. On Windows, PScale is available via Scoop and is a downloadable binary from the releases page. Terminal copied Scoop bucket.
I think mine is AMD. Hmm. So I think I have to put this on the environment variables and then I'll be able to use it. And then in my case, I think I just put the connect because I created the password and username from the user interface. Maybe chat. Uh, I actually think I can't use ChatGPT for this because ChatGPT is from up to 2021, I think, the data. So it maybe it doesn't have the best because this is relatively new, I think. What is scoop? I think I'm gonna install this even though I got it from the binary. From yeah, the binary installation. Because it seems it might be useful. And it doesn't look like it's hard to install this. So you can't run as an admin. Yeah, it's installing all. Just run those commands there and then it works. And so you also need to install this and put it on the path as well, I think. And so I think this one looks like it has more downloads, but they're both 32 bits. I'm not really sure if it's gonna work. I think I'm going to download this.
Terminal copied scoop bucket add pscale https://github.com/planetscale/scoop bucket git scoop install pscale. To upgrade to the latest version. Terminal copied scoop update pscale. Installation via binary download the latest Windows release and unzip the pscale.exe file into the folder of your choice. Then, run it from PowerShell or whatever terminal you regularly use. The MySQL command line client is available in the Windows MySQL installer. To launch pscale shell you will need to have the mysql.exe executables directory in your shell's path. In PowerShell, add that directory to your current shell's path. Terminal copied $env path plus equals c/program files /mysql server 8.0 /bin. Using the PlanetScale CLI. See all available commands by running. Terminal copied scale help. Verify that you are using the latest version. Terminal copied scale version. You're all set. Check out our CLI reference page to explore all that's possible with the PlanetScale CLI. Need help? Get help from the PlanetScale support team, or join our GitHub discussion board to see how others are using PlanetScale.
I think I'll go with this one. Oh, so I have to install. But I do have Visual Studio, I think. I have to install Visual Studio to make it work. And that's when this kind of stuff starts getting annoying. Because so many different parts integrated. And then so many chances to encounter a mistake and then spending hours trying to solve it. Well, I think I have Visual Studio 2022 installed. Hopefully this works. Yeah, but I think I'm gonna install this stuff here. Even though I'm probably not gonna use it, but I have a lot of space because I didn't do the blockchain node. Maybe I'll do the blockchain node in the future, but yeah. I think I will probably do the blockchain in the future. But then I had all this stuff to do and the YouTube channel, so I ended up leaving that behind. And since I stopped, the main reason why I wanted to do the blockchain nodes because I was trying to find MEV and building trading bots. But then since I put that to the side, then I didn't pursue the node stuff anymore. Yeah, but I think I think you have to manually put the p-scale on path, on the environment variable path. So I think I'm gonna do that, but I'm not really sure if that's the case or not. Because they don't tell you to do, but I assume it's better. And hopefully it works. Yeah, nice. So I don't have this version. Yeah, so I explained this, and some guy called, his nickname was Olala, was a person that got into my Twitch stream, and then he was helping me with uh, a problem on lead code, and then he explained to me how this works. And then I made a video about it for the other channel. It's pretty simple after you understand it, but in the beginning, I had no idea how this works. It's just really confusing. But those are pretty much the variables from the computer, the operational system, and it works kind of like any other program. As soon as you put the path there, then it recognizes any binary or any executable file that has in the path. And then from that moment, you can use the keyword, which is the name of the file, to execute that executable with the command line. So after I do that with Scale, then I have what I think I have to do is download MySQL as well. And then I also have to put the MySQL binary into the path. And here they recommended you to do that with this command on the PowerShell. I think that's what you're supposed to do. And then after you do that, then you can use the PScale SLI, and then I'm gonna go back to the other tutorial and try to figure out how to connect. I think just this command here, and then I put my database name and then the branch name. The branch name, I think I have on the site there, on the settings. Oh no, there's a section called branches here, and you have the name of the branch, I think. So on the free version, they say you have access to 2 different branches, the development branch and the production branch. And then if you want access to more, then you have to pay. So, which is reasonable, I think. I think I'm gonna close this. It doesn't look like I need to set up this SSL certification because I'm using Windows, and then they're saying you don't need this stuff on Windows.
Windows does not provide a file with the CA roots that can be used by your driver. Many languages often used on Windows like C#, Java, or Go do not need the CA root path and will use the Windows internal system roots by default. In those environments, you don't need to specify a root CA list. If you are using a language that requires specifying the CA root path, like C or PHP, the curl project provides an extracted bundle of root certificates from the Mozilla CA certificate program. You can download the bundle at https://curl.se/docs/ca-extract.html. Once you download the file, you can point at it with the correct configuration options for the driver that you are using.
I'm gonna close this here. The only thing here that I think is missing, and it might be because I don't know something, or it's something that I should know before doing this stuff, is, but I'm probably gonna find videos, I think, that talk about this, hopefully, is what is the correct way to send the requests to the database through the Next.js API. That's the only question I have so far. I think it's gonna be, there is the Next.js, but it's pretty much, it's probably similar. And I think I saw this. Oh, so the connection string, but I think I have this already. The URL, yeah, I have the URL. And so it looks like this is probably gonna answer all these questions, I think, hopefully. Oh, I think I did the wrong thing there. But I also think you don't need to do this if you integrate there the way that I did it. You go directly to Vercel and then you use their integration there, and it probably does all this stuff under the hood. So I just need to figure out the parts to send the requests, how you're supposed to do that. And I think it's probably using the URL with the environment variables, and then you make the whatever request you want to the URL. And also to create the schemas first as well. So I have to create the schemas first from locally, I think, based on that tutorial, and then after that I code the post request on the Next.js API. I'm obviously waiting for this download to finish. Yeah, I don't think they talk about this stuff here. I I remember they mentioned this on this video, but it's not very clear. It wasn't very clear to me, at least. exactly how to do it. Yeah, I think it is as simple as getting the URL and then just doing the request through the URL. I think the harder part is the migrations for me, because I don't have a lot of experience with migrations and understanding what are the best ways to do this kind of stuff. I think I'll leave it like this and try to check if it works. No, yeah, it works.
branching in databases as well.
Super loud.
And we'll go through a little bit about how that works as part of this demo, but I just wanted to introduce that first and foremost. This is the cornerstone, I think, of how we're targeting making developing on databases easier, not just scaling databases easier.
Yeah, just to add my 2 cents there, as a primarily front-end developer, when I first tried out PlanetScale, it felt like the same mental model that I already built up for the Git workflow I was used to in the modern front-end development world, and just applied that to databases. So it kind of instantly clicked on how to use branches, which I think is really nice.
And that's exactly what we're going for. It's new, but at the same time, we want it to feel familiar. When we kind of came up with this and we started developing it, we almost thought, why haven't we thought of this before? I've spent so many hours of my life doing Git checkout, Git push, and stuff like that, and just never thought about being able to do that with my database as well.
Nice.
So if we're good to go ahead, I'm actually going to transition over to my command line in a second, and we're going to play around with this Vercel database, and I will walk you through some steps to kind of show how we are checking a new branch out, changing some schema and stuff like that.
Yeah, let's do that.
Awesome.
Sharing individual windows makes it easier for those on the stream who want to see it in as high as quality and as large as they can. So we hear you at home.
Yes, I want to make sure that everyone has a good view into this. I have a big ultra wide monitor, so it tends to kind of cloud out the individuals if I share the whole screen. So I want to get that same view. I want to get that same view that we were looking at on the homepage, but with command line. So we have this. I want to get that same view that we were looking at on the homepage, but with command line. So we have this, and again, just like we talked about with like the Git model and stuff like that. We also care really deeply about making sure that anything you can do on the UI, you can do with a command line as well. Useful for automating, useful for making sure that you don't have to switch back and forth and stuff like that. So we have this great UI, but we also have this pretty cool, I think, command line. So I created that Vercel database, and I'm going to go ahead and create a new branch off of the main branch. So I'm going PCL branch create. So the Vercel database, and I'm going to create my add tables branch. And that's actually going to go ahead and create a new branch. We'll go over this later. Once we have some schema on there, we'll kind of show how the branching model works. Right now, this is going to be an empty database. So I'll go get PCL shell, and this actually will just launch it right into my SQL terminal. So
Oh, so I think I get it. So when you use the shell, you're using the MySQL commands, and then you can create the schema from the CLI, I think. And then if you want to do it from the file, you can probably use the spawn a process, child process with Node.js, or do it. In my case, I'm gonna do with Node.js if I do this, I think. Then I have to look up the commands, but you can call the command line or the operational system with spawn child process or something like that. And then you do the same commands, and then you pass the stuff, I think.
in that 30 second time period or so, it actually went ahead and created a whole new database and just kind of lets me have my playground now in this branch. Nothing I do in this branch will impact production. Nothing I do in this branch will touch kind of what I've deployed. It's mine to play around with.
Yeah, I think it's even worth pausing right there to really let it impact that site. Like you're not only just creating a branch off of your main database, you actually have an entirely new playground to explore with. And I think this is really important because I know that personally, when I try to make changes in my database, like do a schema migration, I'm worried about breaking what's in production. So having that playground for you to try and experiment with and make a schema change or put some data in there is really key.
So I've also connected to my main database, and you can see they have the same databases, but I'm going to go back, connect to my branch that I just created. We're going to go ahead and create a table, and I can show how it impacts one, but it doesn't impact the other. So
nice.
We'll go ahead and quit this. We'll go back to my add tables, and just for everyone who wants to follow along, I am basically following the tutorial that we have on the PlanetScale documentation site for how to use the Vercel application. So that has the commands to run on the command line, it has the tables to create and stuff like that, and kind of going through this interactively and pausing at times when it's useful. So we'll see. That doesn't look like, there we go. My internet is probably acting up a little bit. So we go ahead and copy and paste that create statement right there. And so now we'll see I've got one table in my database. If I go back, connect to main, it will not be there because they're different databases. And so there we go. If we were running production on this main branch, we can see they're totally separate. Just like a new Git branch, you're not changing the code that you're running in main, you're not changing what's there. It's totally isolated. So yeah, the real power though, and the real fun about this, we can have two databases running. I mean, that's neat. The real fun starts when we talk about deploying schema. And this is again kind of a concept that we mapped over from the way we write software elsewhere. But we've introduced the concept of a deploy request for the database. So just like you can open a pull request and get it propose changes, you can actually propose changes to the schema. PlanetScale has the entire workload in there to review schema, merge schema, and change the production database without having to write your own migration tools and stuff like that. So I don't know if you have any questions about that, but I'm going to go ahead and open that deploy request with the schema that I just added, so we can get it into main, and we'll walk through that process as well.
Yeah, let's see that. It sounds awesome.
So I'm going to go PCL deploy request create, and then the database is Vercel, and then the branch that I'm copying my schema over is add tables. So this is going to request a deploy. It will create the first deploy request in this database, and I will go look at this right here. It's show. So we can see 13 seconds ago, I created the deploy request, and I can also look at the diff and see that PlanetScale has said the difference between that branch that we created and main is the table that you created right here. And we'll go over what this looks like in the UI in a moment, but this is all powered from the command line, also something that you can do, completely automated.
And the part that is appended on the diff here, is that part of the test? Or is that part of MySQL?
This is all just MySQL. This is kind of the default engine, character set, and stuff like that, and kind of almost you could say an implementation detail for going through how tables should be created.
Nice.
So I can also deploy this just as easily with the deploy request command. So we can go deploy Vercel 1, and that will go ahead and deploy the tables from my branch over to main. So now if I go over to a shell in my main branch, I should be able to see that table now showing up in main. And sometimes my DNS has a little problem here. Give that a sec. There we go. So now look at that. That table is now in my main branch. And so this is a end-to-end code and database deploy pipeline. And we're working right now on making sure we can tie this into everything from CI, so that maybe using like a GitHub action or something like that, you can actually create a new branch, run your migrations, get a diff, and then kind of do that whole end-to-end flow as part of CI/CD. And also looking at tying it into other development workflows. So that if you have like staging deploys, for example, your staging deploy could automatically create a new branch. So you can test staging on exact copy of production.
Nice.
The other really interesting thing is that, like I talked about
in case
earlier,
there's something I can show in the next
create a new
one.
branch off of main again, and it will have the tables
But
from
that
main
one,
branch. So it's kind of copy both ways. So
the part they talk about in the tutorial, so I don't think it matters. I have to create a password. just going over the steps, and I think it's better to not show this.
That when you create that new branch, you don't have to run your migrations from scratch. You get the exact schema that you're running in production copied over.
Nice.
Which
is kind of similar. It's like a similar concept of making sure, like, when you're on a pull request, making sure that it's updated with the latest changes that are like in the whatever your production branch is, your main branch.
Exactly. It means that you don't have to worry about like having a whole migration system that runs migrations and things like that. All you have to do is just create a new branch, and you will get byte for byte the exact schema that you're running in production.
Nice.
We're having trouble with that first connection. Anyway, let's see the internet. So there we go. Like this new show tables branch that I created has that same table. So create I forget the syntax, but yeah, we can see it all gets copied over. And so it's just like Git, it's just like the software development process.
Nice. So I guess the next question is, what does it look like in the UI, right?
Yeah, let's go hop over there and figure it out. So I'm going to stop sharing this, and I will go over to sharing my Chrome. Boom, boom. And there's that. All right, so here we are back at the exact same window. And you can see it's actually, I didn't even refresh it. It knows now. I've got those 3 branches that I created. That main branch that is, kind of protected. The add tables branch that I created to add the schema into main, and then the show tables branch that I created to demonstrate, the kind of other side of that flow. So if I go in, I can actually see that same deploy request 3 minutes ago that I deployed. We can see it took a total of 8 seconds to add that schema. I know it's slow, it could be faster. And we can go over here, we can see the diff. So you can see this is that same thing that the command line outputted. And if you have a team that you're working with, we even have the ability to require approvals, just like a pull request. So you can make sure that somebody else on your team approves the change. You can drop some comments in, and fun stuff like that to kind of make sure that it's part of the software development process, just like shipping code.
Yeah, there was a question in here. I'll see if I can find it about the ability to create tables from the UI. And I think it kind of ties into, let's say I make this new branch. Now I want to, like, instead of doing the command line into the shell for adding table, some kind of GUI where you could do that. Is that a future idea maybe?
I would absolutely love that. That is totally on our roadmap. Right now, we kind of have you drop to the MySQL shell or using the graphical MySQL tool of your choice, so there's like SQL Pro and Mac, I think, and things like that. It would be totally amazing to have. I think Prisma has actually a great version of this, like entity viewer and database viewer right in the browser. Absolutely something that we want to do. We have a very high standard of quality for these kinds of things, so we want to make sure that we do it in kind of that PlanetScale way. But this is totally something, much like we don't want people to have to leave the command line and go to the UI to do things, we feel the same way about the UI, where if that's where you want to stay, we shouldn't make you have to go to the command line to do anything.
Nice. Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's totally on our roadmap.
Nice.
Shall we?
I think this is the guy from Verso. I think I'm gonna subscribe to this stuff. Yeah, these videos are really good.
We go ahead and go now deploy a Vercel application on top of the database.
Yeah, so maybe just to recap for maybe those who join in later, we essentially, correct me if I'm wrong too, I'll see how well I followed. We created a brand new database, a brand new MySQL database built on the test using PlanetScale. We created a brand new branch to add a new schema, and we then deployed those schema changes back into our main branch.
Just finishing the configuration there.
So now we have a new database, we have a users table, and we're ready to actually put our front end on this and connect to it.
I couldn't put it any better. I could not put it any better. The one last thing I'll show is on this branch, you also can see all of your schema right here. So no editing. But if you're ever curious, and our production database for PlanetScale itself has tens and tens and tens of tables. It's really nice to be able to say, hey, what's the user table? But you can actually just link people right to that table definition, stays up to date with all those changes. And again, just kind of trying to bring the database into the 21st century.
Yeah, this is probably an obvious question, but PlanetScale is built with PlanetScale, right?
100%.
Yeah.
All of these buttons that I'm clicking are making API requests back to a backend. It's pulling all this data right out of PlanetScale itself. I can even offer a little bit of a sneak peek. I won't do too much, but you can see here, this is the actual PlanetScale database. It's pretty fun. Also, so you can see we have a lot of connections, a lot of tables over in there. So anyway, let's go ahead and switch over. We've got this demo application right here, and I can kind of talk through it. And I think this is the fun part. Databases are neat. I love databases. We all love databases, but to me, the fun part is deploying, seeing the database used, in the browser, doing more than just creating tables for fun. So yeah, I'm happy to pause for any questions here as well if you want to take some from the audience or anything like that before we kind of take the next step.
Yeah, let's go ahead and answer a few questions before we jump into the next part of this. I will scroll up and go through here. There's a few questions around compatibility with future looking, maybe something like Hasura or something like Postgres. I see a few questions around that. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, Hasura is definitely. I was actually just talking with the team earlier today. They have MySQL support, I believe, in early access or in beta right now.
Nice.
Once that's available, we absolutely are going to be ourselves testing to make sure that everything works, and we're going to make sure that's a first class experience. Just like PlanetScale makes it easy to get started with the database, Hasura also makes it super easy to create an API in front of that. We think that would be an amazing combo for basically having a full stack application in about an hour. You can start querying.
That would be incredible, and they have a pretty good UI for editing like tables live too. So that's awesome.
Exactly, permission system, and I love GraphQL. I think GraphQL is an amazing way to just like get that velocity, that development velocity going. So being able to turn your schema into a GraphQL API, super powerful.
Yeah, and then potentially maybe in the future Postgres.
We'll see. That's a harder one. The beauty and the magic of the test is that it does so many amazing things on top of MySQL. It's possible.
It looks like everything worked fine. Hopefully. I'm just gonna check to see if this is on the environment variables or I have to do it manually there. The way that they explain you should do. Yeah, it looks like it is on the environment variables already, so the installation process does that. But I think I'm gonna do the commands that they recommend to use as well. Because I don't see why not. Where is the... I think it's this one. Yeah, here. Let me test this actually. Okay. So I guess I have to add the database locally as well. Or I just put the name of the database that I have there on the sites here as another argument, and then it will work. Yeah, added the command there. I put this command on the PowerShell. So I'm gonna close this one, close this one.
Connect a Next.js application to PlanetScale. In this tutorial, you'll create a Next.js application that uses Tailwind CSS for styling and Prisma to connect to a PlanetScale database. Prerequisites. Node.js. Set up the database. If this is your first time in the dashboard, you'll be prompted to go through a database creation walkthrough where you'll create a new database. Otherwise, click New Database, Create New Database. Name, you can use any name with lowercase, alphanumeric characters, or underscores. We also permit dashes, but don't recommend them, as they may need to be escaped in some instances. Region, choose the region closest to you or your application. It's important to note if you intend to make this branch a production branch, you will not be able to change the region later, so choose the region with this in mind. Finally, click Create Database. Note: if you have an existing cloud-hosted database, you can also choose the import option to import your database to PlanetScale using our import tool. If you go this route, we recommend using our database imports documentation. A development branch, main, is automatically created when you create your database. You can use this branch to develop on, and once you are happy with any schema changes, you can promote it to production, where it becomes a highly available, protected database that you can connect your production application to. Set up the starter Next.js app. Now that you have your database, clone the Next. Generate a connection string. Next, you need to generate a database username and password so that you can use it to connect to your application. In your PlanetScale dashboard, select your database, click Connect, and select Prisma from the Connect with drop-down. As long as you are an organization administrator, this will generate a username and password that has administrator privileges to the database. Copy the database URL string from the .env tab and paste it into your own .env file. The structure will look like this. Terminal copied data, add the schema and data. With the database connected, you are now ready to add a schema and read/write data. The sample repo we shared above includes a pre-built schema and some seed data built with Prisma. Push the database schema to your PlanetScale database with terminal copied Prisma db push. Run the seed script. This will populate your database with product and category data. Terminal copied and run seed. Run the app. After you have your application running locally, you may want to deploy it to production. To do so, promote your database branch, main by default, to be the production branch. Read the branching documentation for more information. You can do this in the PlanetScale dashboard by clicking the Branches tab, and then clicking the Promote a Branch to Production button either in the banner or under the Deploy to Versal. What's next? Once you're done with development, you can promote your main branch to production to get a highly available branch protected by direct schema changes. To learn more about PlanetScale, take a look at the following resources. PlanetScale Workflow, quick overview of the PlanetScale workflow, branching, non-blocking schema changes, deploy requests, and reverting a schema change. PlanetScale branching, learn how to utilize branching to ship schema changes with no locking or downtime. PlanetScale Workflow, quick overview of the PlanetScale workflow, branching, non-blocking schema changes, deploy requests, and reverting a schema change. See, a deploy request has been approved, it gets added to the deploy queue. Schema changes are applied to your production database branch in the order in which they are added to the deploy queue. As a part of the process of adding the schema changes to the deploy queue, PlanetScale analyzes the schema changes in the deploy requests ahead of your deploy request for any potential conflicts. If a conflict exists, your deploy request is rejected from the queue, and you are immediately notified of the conflict. This means you'll never wait for your schema change to deploy only.
Interesting. Maybe I should submit that to them. I don't know how it works. Kind of weird there. Well, let me see if I can look at this console thing there. Oh, so it says not authenticated yet when I try to run on the shell. And then, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. But I'm not finding the thing from the video here. So I guess you have to click on the name of the database. Oh, they give you the commands to access. So first you run a command to authenticate, then you can access the database with the command they give you. And then you probably create the schema with the CLI as well. So it's saying here, not authenticated yet, run the command. And then it's gonna ask for the password and username that you get when you create the database, I think. Pretty good documentation, I think. Pretty good in general, actually.
PlanetScale Quick Start Guide.
Both Verso and PlanetScale.
PlanetScale Quick Start Guide. Overview. The following guide will show you how to create a database with PlanetScale, make a schema change, insert data, promote your database branch to production. If you already have your PlanetScale database set up, you may find the connecting your application or branching guides more helpful. This guide is split up so that you can either follow it in the PlanetScale dashboard or using the PlanetScale CLI. A video demo of everything covered in this guide. Getting started, PlanetScale dashboard. You will need a PlanetScale account to complete this guide. Create a database. Follow these steps to create a database. Your database is created with an initial development branch, main, which you will use to apply a schema change and insert data. Think of this as your development environment where you can test schema changes before deploying your database to production. Once you promote your branch to production, you can always create new branches, isolated copies of the production schema, off of production to use for development. Add a schema to your database. This quick start demonstrates how to create and use two relational tables, categories and products. From your database's overview page, click on the Branches tab in the database navigation. Click on the main branch. Click on the Console tab. This will open up a web console connected to your database branch.
And let me do that. More branches. I'm saying here that this database has no production branches. Production branches are protected from direct schema changes. Allow non-blocking deploy requests for schema changes with branches. Utilize automated backups and are made highly available. And then there's a button to promote a branch to production. So I'm not really sure if I can do this or not because I'm with the free version, but I assume I probably can because of the button there. But I think I'm not gonna do this now. I think I'm gonna stop soon. It's almost 1 hour and a half. I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna do this stuff off stream because it's kind of bad to do these kind of things on stream because you have to go back and forth between showing the screen or not. And I'm concerned that I'm gonna show something that I shouldn't show at some point because I don't know how the whole process works. So it's kind of inefficient to do this kind of stuff on stream. But I wanted to stream today because I said I would do it yesterday, so. And then maybe I'll, yeah, it all depends whether or not I'm gonna be able to do this stuff and actually make it work with the deployed version. Maybe actually what I can do is do the first, finish the site first. Yeah, but the problem is I have to connect with the database anyway. That's the main thing. But I guess I can finish the layout of the website on stream. I'll take a break to it, then I can come back and then finish the website so I have everything done, and the only thing that is left to do is the post request where I have to figure out the API. So I assume that the only difference is gonna be because everything, yeah, I'm gonna do the copy on stream after I eat now. The other elements that I have to add, and then the only difference is gonna be, the only thing that I'm gonna have to do is change this email file here, which previously I was putting the logic to insert the emails on the SQLite 3 database. But then I'm probably gonna have to remove this stuff, and then instead of this if statement of the post request, I'm gonna put probably an API call to the PlanetScale, and that's gonna allow me, and then you don't need to do anything because the way that I deployed using Git on the Vercel. So every time I push changes to Git, it automatically changes, on Vercel as well. So I assume that by making these changes, then once I deploy to Git, it's gonna automatically work on Vercel, and if I connect it to the database correctly, which I'm gonna test on my local computer to see if it's working. If I do that correctly, then it's gonna work on Vercel as well.
This quick start demonstrates how to create and use two relational tables, categories and products. From your database's overview page, click on the Branches tab in the database navigation. Click on the main branch. This will open up a web console connected to your database branch. Create the categories and products tables by running the following commands in the web console. SQL copied CRE.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do because Otherwise, I'm gonna have the other stuff that I have to do in my mind as I try to figure this out. And I already have everything ready, all the design of the website ready already, so that the only thing left to do is figure out this database thing, which hopefully is not that complicated. So I think I'm gonna stop here. I'm gonna go eat something, and then I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna go eat and then meditate for 20 minutes, I think, and then I'm gonna come back to finish the layout of the website and build this thing here. Change the text and add another element, and then add the frequently asked questions.